Hi guys, welcome back to Gamer Muscle videos. Now last week, Oculus were kind enough to invite us to the Oculus Game Days event in London, which was essentially Oculus bringing their Oculus GDC presentation to London, along with developers that they shipped along in aeroplanes to brave the English weather, so that those of us in the United Kingdom that couldn't get to America were able to experience the yet to be released Oculus VR titles. Now, what was the event like? Oculus had commandeered an old factory building that had been modernised, and you knew it had been modernised because it was basically exactly the same, but the walls had all been painted white and the floor had been polished very well indeed. But Oculus had put their demo booths around the building on two stories of the building, and then each demo booth was basically one of the compact computers that are sold with the Oculus bundles you can buy. And they'd outlined the play space with some black tape to ensure that no one accidentally got a touch controller in the face. What was really interesting, I think, of the event, and the biggest take back from the event, was just clearly how much money Facebook is throwing at developers to produce high quality and polished VR games. Of all the titles they had on display, they all had fantastic artwork, the music was really nice, and the basic interaction and how the touch controls were used was really polished across the board. I think the most interesting game they had at the event was a spell-casting dungeon crawler, mostly because it just looked like it had the most interesting mechanics there in terms of what the player does to create spells, the freedom, and then how the developer had built the environment to make it immersive and a rich environment that's justifiable to play in VR. Whereas I felt some of the more casual games that they had at the event personally wouldn't really appeal to me in VR, because you could play them on a screen just fine. There'd be no real need to play them in VR, though VR does give them a bit of more spectacle to them. The actual game mechanics in some of the games didn't necessarily seem that suited to virtual reality. Another interesting thing about the event, outside of the polish and the types of games, was the different types of movement that developers had gone for, and the variation in movement. So we had some games that had the traditional teleportation locomotion there, and obviously that works. It doesn't give people motion sickness, so it's a good default for games to have. But we started to see more games, and I'm surprised actually that Oculus seemed to be pursuing this. They don't seem to mind, but with artificial locomotion, stutter teleportation, and one of the RTS games they had used sort of drag movement locomotion, like exactly the same as what's found in Pool Nation. And though it might make some people motion sick, I think it's really nice that they're letting developers experiment with different types of locomotion that allow the player to really get in on the action, manipulate things, and really get close and inspect the objects. Now, I did also get to play Rock Band at this event, and it's a bit of a weird one because it's quite fun to play. It's interesting, the mechanics it uses and how they've gone away from the traditional Rock Band game. Personally, I'm not so sure if it's the type of game I want to be playing in VR, and I don't quite know who it's for, because I don't see it appealing to the hardcore gamer that likes the rhythm matching, and I don't know if it's going to really appeal to super casual gamers, because you've got to put a VR headset on, and you've got to buy a Guitar Hero controller and everything else that's involved in VR. So it's a little bit confusing, but at the same time, I really liked what the developer had done with the mechanics, and they'd obviously made a focus of not having it so that you're just looking at a UI and you do feel as if you actually stood on a stage to some extent playing a guitar to an audience. So from a development side and a game design perspective, I thought that was really interesting and fun to play, but I'm not quite sure where it fits in the marketplace and how well it will sell or how popular it will be, but it was really good to try that out. So to finish this video, I think it was a fantastic event, and it was certainly really interesting to see how many high quality and Hubble mirror polished VR titles are going to be coming out this year and potentially early next year. If you enjoyed this video and you want to keep up to date with everything on the channel, make sure you click the subscribe button, like it, and check out our VR Bump playlist where you can see our VR reviews and other VR content. If you've got any questions, feel free to drop them underneath the video in the comment section. So until our next video, thanks for watching this, and I'll see you then. Goodbye.